Welcome to Decide, the University of Auckland Business Decision Making Lab. You are now about to see and hear instructions you will need in order to participate in the experiments. As you may already know, the experiments are auctions and you will be bidding at those auctions in accordance to the instructions that follow. First, some general information. You're about to participate in an experiment in the economics of market decision making in which you will earn money based on the decisions you make. Any money you earn is yours to keep and will be paid to you in cash at the end of the experiment. All units of account will be in experimental currency. We call them e-dollars. Upon conclusion of the experiment, your earnings will be converted into New Zealand dollars at an exchange rate displayed on the information page of your computer screen. These earnings plus the show-up payment will be paid to you in private at the end of the experiment. Some specific instructions. The experiment consists of a series of independent periods in which you have the opportunity to acquire by an auction one or more items which will be referred to as blocks. There are 2 blocks available for sale in each period. Blocks are sold with either an L or a U characteristics. An L characteristic designates full private ownership of the block in question. In contrast, a U characteristic designates common ownership in which the rights to use the corresponding block are shared with other parties. At the beginning of each period, you will be assigned a value in e-dollars that you place on each block depending on which characteristics, either L or U, or perhaps U and L, the block is assigned. In addition, you will be assigned a financial budget representing the total funds available to you for bidding in that period. For illustrative purposes, assume that at the beginning of the period you are assigned a set of block values and the financial budget as shown in Figure 1. Each participant's assigned block values and financial budget will generally differ across periods. Please take a moment to get familiar with the information in the figure. The competitive bidding process. In each period, you have the opportunity to bid for different blocks with different characteristics. Figure 2 illustrates the software that you will use to participate in the auction. As shown, there are 2 blocks available for purchase. We call them 1 and 2, number 1 and number 2. At the conclusion of the auction, each block will be awarded to a particular bidder or a set of bidders with either an L or U characteristic. Bidding occurs under an ascending price auction format. We also call it a clock format. The current price for any block, regardless of the characteristic, appears in the green box. As shown, each block and its associated characteristic has its own Place Bid button. You are submitting a bid for a particular block when the block's Place Bid button is activated. We call it also press. So you either activate the button or you place a bid by pressing the button. Because each participant is assumed to place a bid for all blocks when the price for each block is 0, by default all Place Bid buttons are activated at 0 price. If the Place Bid button for any block and any characteristic is active at the end of a bidding round, the price shown in the green box increases by a predetermined amount. At that point, you must decide whether or not you wish to continue bidding for that block at the new higher price. If you decide not to bid, then you must signal that you wish to refrain from placing a bid for a given block and its associated characteristic by simply pressing the Place Bid button associated with the block. Once you decide to refrain from bidding on a particular block and its associated characteristic, you are preventing from bidding on that block and its associated characteristic for the remainder of the auction. Now, in Figure 3, your decision to refrain from placing a bid for block 1 and characteristic B when the price of that block reaches $50 is shown. To assist you in remembering the highest bid you placed in the auction for a block and its associated characteristic, the Press Place Bid button will display the highest bid you placed on the block following the next increase in price. For example, as you can see in Figure 4, following an increase in the block price from $50 to $100, the Press Bid button for block 1, characteristic B, shows that your highest bid for that block is $50. The price in the green box will cease rising and the auction will close when there are no remaining active bidders for any block. At the close of the auction, you will be told whether you have won one or more blocks, the characteristics of those blocks, and your earnings, if any. Note, you will incur a loss if the price you paid for your acquired block exceeds the value you place on that block. A loss incurred in a given auction will be deducted from your total earnings following the completion of the experiment. Bid types. A bid for a block associated with an L characteristic is referred to as an L-type bid, while a bid for block associated with a U characteristic is referred to as a U-type bid. Given the common ownership of a block that is assigned a U characteristic, the total bid for each block with a LU characteristic is equal to the sum of all U-type bids placed for that block. After the close of the auctioneer will compare the highest L bid for each block with the total of aggregate U bid for each block and will accept the highest bid for each block. Winning bids. Based upon the submitted bids, the auctioneer defines the market clearing price, which is equal to the highest overall price, including both L-type and U-type bids for each block that was not accepted. Participant payments and earnings. Participants whose bids are accepted will receive their value in experimental currency, that is, $E, for each block minus the price that they pay for the block, which is determined as follows. The price paid by participants whose acquired blocks are assigned an L characteristic is simple. It is the calculated market clearing price for that block. Things are more complicated for winning bidders whose blocks are assigned a U characteristic. In this case, the price that each winning U-type participant pays for a block is equal to the proportion of their contribution, that is their own bid, to the winning aggregate bid times the market clearing price. If the sum of U-type bids for a particular block represents the winning bid for that block, then all participants in the auction will receive their value for that block with a U characteristic minus their price as computed above. In the event of a tie for the highest bid, each of the winning bidders will receive the expected value for the earnings based on a random selection of the winning bid. We want to thank you for your participation in this experiment, and we hope you find it quite fun and useful. Thank you.